In this video, we'll talk about the role of another very important stakeholder, and those are parents. What is the role parents should play in this entire process so that education flourishes, so that we are able to create the leaders of tomorrow? This is Simarjeet Singh, continuing with the series of videos to help improve education specifically in India, but I think many of these inputs will be relevant across the world. The last video we talked about how students can shift their perspective in order to get the very best out of their student experience. In this video, we'll talk about the role of another very important stakeholder, and those are parents. What is the role parents should play in this entire process so that education flourishes, so that we are able to create the leaders of tomorrow, working with the system that we know is flawed, that we know needs a lot of improvement, but how do we still work with the constraints? How do we still move forward? How do we still improve and get the very best out of the immense potential that our young people have? So first of all, I would say let's get the traditional respect for teachers back into the system. Okay, teaching and medicine, specifically in India, I believe doctors and teachers were one of the two professions who had a lot of respect in society, which is gradually diminishing now. And it's a sad thing, because a lot of the teachers would be drawn into the profession due to the immense respect that they used to get from the students and from the society in general. That's going down. As parents, we can inculcate that in our kids to teach them to have the so-called old-fashioned traditional respect for their teachers. And there might be moments while you might disagree with the teachers, there might be moments when students might disagree with their teachers, but to bring the respect back into the profession so that teachers feel valued, so that they are able to give their best. So that was my point number one. Number two, I understand many parents would be smarter in their own fields. You could be leading surgeons and engineers and entrepreneurs, and you could be smarter in a lot of things than the teachers who are teaching your child currently. Don't make it a battle of intellect or a battle of egos, because the child will suffer if that is the battle that you begin. And do not demean the teachers or the education system in front of them. You might have your own opinions about a particular teacher or the subject, but I think it's not wise to put the entire exercise of schooling down in front of them, because they're already disengaged. The numbers are not very encouraging. The attendance records, the engagement levels in many schools across India are not very encouraging. And I agree that we need to rethink, we need to reinvent, we need an overhaul of the system. But in the meanwhile, I don't think it's very wise for parents to demean the system or demean teachers in front of the young kids, because they will lose respect in that scenario. So, and that leads to my next rule: never ever criticize a teacher in the presence of your child, because you are undermining their credibility like anything. And the student will go into the classroom not with the mindset of a student who is here to learn and to absorb and to grasp, but with the mindset of somebody who's here to buy a commodity, who is paying for services to be educated, and he'll go with the mindset of a consumer, and that can be a dangerous place for education to happen. And another thing that parents can do is help fill the gaps at home. I already told you, I agree, there's a lot of things which are missing. Our system needs to be reinvented. We need to bring in more innovation, more ideas to have better engagement, so that these young kids are smiling and happy and engaged in the classrooms, to have those sort of activities, to teach in that manner, and to to light up their imagination. And I know there's a lot missing. There's a lot of memorization. There's a lot of things that we do not support, we do not like. But how about parents, especially parents, well-informed parents, well-traveled parents, right? Parents who have that 1 hour in the evening. Why don't you figure out ways to fill in the gap at home? Because the home is also a school, and it's a very important school. So why don't, and in the home environment, just go to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, give me 10 open-ended speech topics. I do that very often with my girls, and so ChatGPT is going to give you a bunch of topics. You can have your child compete against themselves, video record them. It's a fun activity. They love it. right? And if they're siblings, you can have them compete against each other, get their friends over. Debates, you could do a quick debate, 30 minutes, quick public speaking championship. My mother, she used to write words, difficult words, and she used to paste them in front of our desk or other places where we would look at them so that those words enter our vocabulary. You could do half an hour, everybody's going to speak in Shuddha Hindi, or half an hour everybody's going to speak in English only, so that to help them learn, improve that language, whatever language you want them to improve, you can have that half an hour. You can incentivize this, you can gamify this. There is no curriculum you have to follow at home. There's no, syllabus to complete, but you can fill in the gap at home constructively if you look at yourself not just as a critic, but as a participant of this process of educating your child. So those were some of my inputs for parents. We will be covering teachers and heads of educational institutions in the next videos also, but I'd love to hear your comments. I'm sure these are just thoughts that emerged to my mind. There must be more out there for well-informed parents. I'd love to hear your suggestions, your comments, your feedback in the comment section below. Let's make this a little movement, and if this video appealed to you, do share it with other parents, do share it with other participants of the other stakeholders of this education profession. Thank you so much for tuning in.